He has a master's degree in psychology and has used it to create an innovative training system for faster, better results. Today we talk with Igor about chess coaching and obsession with chess in general. Igor, welcome to October Obsession.
Thanks for inviting me. I think that your project is very interesting, very inspirational for people. It would be a privilege for me to take part.
Excellent, man. What is chess?
In my opinion, chess is an intellectual sport. Let me ask you guys one simple question. Let's say you want to be strong physically. You want to have big muscles. What would you do in that case?
I go to the gym and I work out.
Of course, that's a pretty obvious answer. But what if we talk about our brain, how to make this muscle very powerful? This question is not that straightforward, right? So here we also need to apply some specific tools. And same with our physical condition, we need to understand that it will not increase by itself. We need to put some efforts here. And chess is one of the possible tools to achieve this ultimate goal.
And when you started training in chess, did you start playing the game? Or were you mindful of I need to train my brain to be able to capture the games? Or how did you come to this conclusion? When did it come in your evolution?
Of course, not from the very beginning. My very first game I played at the age of 5 or 6 years old, and at that time, of course, I haven't thought about that philosophical things. I came to that later, and I don't remember exactly, but anyway, when I thought about the value of chess and what it gives to me, and actually talking about the value of your project, I also think that enthusiasm or motivation or obsession, whatever you call it, is the key element really, because this is what drives you. This is what forces you to do something. No matter what is your goal, in any case, you need to put a lot of efforts to achieve it. And the most critical moment here is your motivation. What really drives you? What will drive you to put hard efforts day by day, year by year, throughout maybe your whole life? And that's why when I started thinking about that, I came up with those, so to speak, philosophical ideas about chess.
I want to elaborate a little bit more about it. Okay, so it's something that can be, I am a horrible chess player, or I have been. I'm trying to use the wrong word. I have been, whereas Rod is better. But is it something that I can train? I can truly train. Is it something I can truly like get to? I'm really curious about that.
Of course you do, Juan. Definitely. I'll be glad to help if you wish. But in general, I think that there is one situation which is typical for many people. I can say that with confidence because thanks to the internet and our remote chess academy, I communicate with thousands of chess fans all over the world. And I've noticed one situation which is unfortunately common. There is a person who tried playing chess game, was fascinated with that, and then he tried to continue and tried to progress. He studied some books, some video tutorials, and he progressed at up to a certain level, but then he stuck there, and he can't really progress further. After that, people start thinking that maybe they don't have enough talent for chess. Maybe they just don't have that natural ability for that. Based on my experience, I can say that it is a false statement and false idea. That's not true. A lot of those guys who stuck at a certain period, when they were given the proper coaching, they broke through and got a tremendous progress with a few hundred rating points ahead within just a very short period. So I think that it's not a matter of some talent. As Einstein said, it's genius is 1% talent and 99% of hard work, and I think that it's applicable for chess as well.
So Igor, if I have absolutely no talent for chess, and let's imagine I start taking your courses from the very first course you brought out, obsessively studying and finishing each course, and then all the way up to the final course. What are my results? Would I be able to beat you, for example? What are the exact results of taking your courses? How good are they?
Well, I would be very happy if you would be able to beat me after that. That's the dream of every coach. You can be better than him, and it's a really talented coach. Anyway, speaking seriously, of course they cannot guarantee that you will become the world champion. Here it's a combination of different factors. Yes, I do agree that there is some natural abilities for chess. Some people digest it easier, a little quicker. That's true. And not everybody can become the world champion. You need to start very early, and you need to dedicate your whole life to it. That's the very specific thing. And usually you also need to invest a lot of time, efforts, money into that long way forward. And only then you will really succeed, or at least have chance for that. But what I can say with confidence is that you definitely can become a strong player. That's for sure. So this is an achievable goal for everybody. And if you study my courses, I don't know if you can beat me or not, but you will definitely be a strong guy.
So you said you have to. Sorry, Juan, go ahead.
No. How did you get? Tell us your story. Your first encounter with the chessboard, and how did that build to an obsession into being an amazing player, and then being a coach, and just coming up with the system? Because it is like the combination is very interesting and unusual. Lead us through your obsession and how it led to where you are today.
The first game I played at the age of 5 years old or 6 years old, I don't even remember. My daddy showed me the game, and I was fascinated with it. We started playing unlimited quantity of games. I've always been losing and crying. Somehow it didn't discourage me. And then I remember we had 2 books at that time, only 2 books about chess, and I read them both a couple of times, just because I had no other ones, so I read them over and over again. And then when my parents saw that I'm a little bit crazy about that, they drive me into a local chess club. Then I started to train more professionally, so to say. Of course, at that age, it's hard to talk about real professional training, but anyway. Later on, I progressed pretty quickly. At the age of 13, as Ron stated at the beginning, I became an international master, and I won already a couple of international tournaments, and in youth championships I took some prize places. But after that, surprisingly for myself, I stuck at some point. Although I didn't stop training, I've been training as hard as before, maybe even more, but surprisingly I couldn't really break through, and I stuck at a certain level, and I didn't really know what to do, because I've been training and training and training all the time, but it didn't produce the result. Of course, it frustrated me, and then I realized that I probably need to understand this whole situation, that this is a challenge that I need to take, and to understand what's going on here, and how can I change that for the better. At that time, I started to learn psychology. I wanted to understand how my brain works, and how can I force it to work in the way that I want. So I even got a degree in the university in psychology, and then after a lot of struggling and research, I finally understood how silly I was before, and I understood what I should do in order to progress. And that, of course, from one side, it was very motivational. I knew what to do. From the other side, it was a little bit of frustration, because I knew that I wasted a couple of years of my life, basically on doing useless things. Yeah. Those things which does not produce results. And then, of course, it motivated me really to share my new findings with other people, because I thought that if I wasted those years of my efforts, then okay, at least I can warn other people. At least I can tell to them how to do it properly, so that they can start doing it instantly, right from the very beginning. And I thought to myself that if anyone would only tell me those things when I was a little kid, so that I start progressing effectively right from the very beginning, 20 years I would already be a top player. And I thought that at least now I can help to other people. And when I started doing some coaching, I saw that it really produces great results, honestly, surprisingly for myself. So when the first student told me that he progressed for like 300 rating points within a few months, I didn't believe him. I thought that it's just he's trying to impress me. So I checked at the FID website his rating, and I saw that that's true. And then I was surprised that really my coaching is working very well, even better than I could expect. So my students got better progress than I got when I was young, although I was considered to be a talented guy and progressing quickly. So that's how I came to chess, and of course I enjoy it a lot. Now it gives me the opportunity to communicate with a lot of awesome people, very intelligent, and also, even if we talk right now I can communicate with you in your very interesting project that will motivate a lot of people. And all of the guys that I communicate with in chess, they are excellent people, and I have a lot of pleasure in this activity.
chess is a blood sport. When I was in New York and I was at Washington Square Park, I ventured into a place where they have the chessboards one after the other, and they have the practice of the loser pays, which is irrelevant because it's more and more about it's not about money. But as I walked, I walked because I'm a very curious type. Did not belong in those halls, and I saw a bird of prey looking at me because I was a stranger there, and he walked right to me and he said, "Let's play immediately." And we sat, and he beat me in 8 seconds. I mean, it was bloody. Pa, 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 pa. There was no comparison. It's like Mike Tyson versus me. In Russia, it must be worse, man. I mean, you are the motherland of chess. How is it? Is it like as everybody around you thinks, or especially as a kid, and you rose from that? What is your insight on that? It's a national sport in a sorts, and you've succeeded. It's like, how would I say it? How does that feel? How does that energy feel? Oh, he fell. The question was too strong.
Oh, it's a great question.
It was where's the da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, I'm seeing his courses. They look interesting, man. But it's I really want to take one. Like which one should I take? I think I should get a free trial and see how I am after October Obsession. Maybe it's gonna help my
There's two that are pretty good, the Grandmaster Secrets, and there's also the other one that's Positional Play or something like that.
And how are they? Do you just do the movements, or he explains why you should do the movements? How does it work?
He explains the whole thought process that you need to go through in order to make each movement. Basically, what you need to think before you make every movement.
So he's not just telling you move rook this. He's telling you why you would do that.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting about his books. You're not studying specific openings, specific moves. You're studying more on how to think, on what to think about before making each move.
And would you start at the opening one, or would you start at the?
No, I would start with the Grandmaster Secrets course.
And even but you're a good chess player. If I'm not a good chess player, would you start there?
No, definitely there, because it gives you an overall view of the whole game and how to approach the whole game and not a specific part of the game only. And with that course, you will understand why openings are the way they are, instead of just memorizing the moves, no?
And it's something, and you buy it, and then you can play it?
You buy it, you take the lessons, which are video lessons, and then there's a bunch of exercises and training that you need to go through. It's long. They're pretty long courses.
Oh, Igor's gone.
Oh yeah, I got back.
Oh, excellent, man. We're talking about your courses right now. I was zooming through your site. It looks very interesting. So we're back to obsession with chess in a hostile country where everybody prides themselves on that. How was that experience, and is there something about the thought process that allowed you to succeed in that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Do you want to know more about chess in my country?
No, about your experience, about you're successful in chess in a country that prides itself with chess. So I don't. Do you hear my anecdote that's coming to play chess? And this guy looking at me, and is it like this in Russia? Is it or is it more of camaraderie? How is it?
I would agree with you that there are different approaches in different countries. I can tell you an opposite story that you just told to us. Once I played in a tournament in Jordan, in an Arabic country, and that was a local cafe where people drink tea and play board games. You know, the Muslims, they don't take alcohol, so even in that cafe, although it was late evening, they only drank some tea and all those smoking equipment, Kalian, board games. And they played various board games, but no chess. I came with my friends, and we brought the chess board inside. We brought the chess clock, and we started playing Blitz, those quick games, which are very thrilling to people because you have to move your hands very quickly. You have only 5 or 3 minutes per game, or sometimes only 1. You're really rushing with your moves, and it's very exciting. At first, those guys around looked at us, and they thought that maybe we're crazy or something, just some crazy strangers. But later on, around 10 minutes after, a crowd crowd of people formed around us. They were very interested in this chess game, so some of them knew how to play. We showed them the story to interact, and that was a very friendly, very nice atmosphere.
Okay.
Because yeah, so that's actually I enjoyed it a lot, because in the Western world we tend to approach the chess or any sport as a competition, as something bloody, you know, something where you need to be really tough, where you want to win, you want to break down your opponent. But at the same time, we can consider it as a pleasant spare time when you can communicate with other intelligent people, and really it creates that atmosphere, you know, like a wise book or a good friend, a cup of tea or coffee or an art, all those things that create that positive, intelligent atmosphere. And chess also can do the same.
Is there a moment? Is there a moment?
Sorry.
Okay, Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really obsessed about the physical part of chess. Now, for example, you were mentioning now about making the moves really fast. It sounds like you really need actually physical, agile hand movement techniques to make the moves and to make captures and push the clock. Does that affect it in a way? Do you actually practice moving the pieces fast?
Well, not really. Of course, it comes with practice. When you play a lot of blitz games, it will help you just to be accurate, not to throw pieces on the board, but to place them accurately, exactly on the square where you intended to place it to. Anyway, I wouldn't say that there is something specific here.
And also physically, can you make any type of gestures? Because, okay, here in Chile there's a plaza where everybody sits down. We have a lot of tables and people just sit down and play. And of course there are the typical people that go every day obsessively, they play every day and you start recognizing them. Most of them are kind of crazy in the sense that they make all these faces while they play, or the gestures they make when they make a move with a piece, or how they capture one of your pieces. Are there like any physical things that people do in tournaments or that you do to actually intimidate or distract your opponent and things like that, or is that just bad play?
Besides chess, I do martial arts, and once my coach in boxing, he told me this: you need to try to attack from different angles. So when he knew that I'm a chess grandmaster, he told me, so first you try your opponent on a chessboard, you try to attack him there, and then if he can withstand that, then just try to deliver a hook. And see.
I love it.
Nice.
Digital game.
On a serious note, well, I don't know. Some people believe in that, you know, staring face when you really try to intimidate your opponent. Some players even consider to have a little hypnotic skills, like they're hypnotizing opponents with their eyes, like former world champion Mikhail Tal, or even the current world champion Magnus Carlsen. Some say that he's somewhat magician, you know, that his opponents make obscure mistakes that they would not make against other opponents. But honestly, I don't believe in that. I think that, you know, luck is always on the side of strong players. That's a very easy explanation.
Is there a move? Wait, sorry, Rod, go ahead.
Go. Well, just one more. Continuing with the concept of the physical thing. Is there any type of board or style of board, chess board, that you prefer or have a fetish for? Basically, do you still have the first chessboard that you got when you were a kid, or how does the actual board affect you? When I play in tournaments, sometimes the pieces are broken, and that really perturbs me. It was really distracting. Or I prefer the board which is actually table and black and white instead of the green and white colors. Is there any kind of obsessive, weird fetish that you have with chessboards?
Luckily not, although at the beginning I really had a lot of them when I was just a kid and played in local tournaments. Luckily I won some of them, and all the time they gave me as a prize the chess set. I was always shocked with that. I thought, do those guys really think that a chess player does not have a chess set yet? Anyway, they always presented me a new chess set, and I had a lot of them. Later on, I just started to give them out to different people. Anyway, I knew that you could ask me that question, so I even brought my first chessboard with me. Here it is.
Oh, nice.
This is a very old one. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's maybe 25 years old or something like that. I still have it, although it's not like a fetish. It's still with me. I would agree with you, Rod, that I also prefer the classical chess set with a wooden board and wooden pieces. turning back to what I said a few minutes ago, I think that creates that really nice feeling, that mood, of an intellectual game. Because you can play on computer, but this is an electronic device, and it does not have that, spirit of chess, spirit of that very old royal game.
Excellent. I'm gonna get it. I have a record player I got on Saturday, and I'm getting a wooden chessboard today. I'm gonna get in my house. Now, one question I have: is there a moment where you're playing someone and you say, "Okay, this is a real game"? Is there an intuition? Is there a move? Is there? I'm not saying he will beat you. I'm not saying that you will. It's a moment like I need to take. Because you often see grandmasters, they have this game with 20 people at once, right? And obviously, because they kind of know the foibles and mistakes of they're so common and so clear to them that it's. But is there like a move that does that really happen, or is it just a figment of my imagination?
Sometimes there are critical moments in the game where you need to take time and to make that critical decision. In chess game, initially there are like two armies, black and white. Chess is a model of war, actually. And at the beginning, that's pretty simple. They just deploy their forces, move them forward, and at a certain point, there is a moment of collision when they meet each other. And here, this is the critical moment where it will decide who will be on top, who will overcome in this battle. And at this point, usually, you need to be very wise, and you need to think very well and find that right move that could turn the game into the direction that you want, and that can really be the key for your future win.
So it's at the point of attack, there's like 5 or 6 moves from the beginning to the maybe 2 moves forward, 3 moves forward, where you kind of get a sense, is this attack cogent or is this guy just moving pieces, right? Would you characterize it this way or no?
Well, the wise strategist should know it in advance, whether this attack would be successful or not.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Okay, sorry, when I see soccer games or American football or rugby, the role of the referee there it's pretty obvious, kind of, right? What does a chess referee do? What is the role of a chess referee? It looks like the chess game is kind of passive in a way. I can't imagine fights going on. Actually, I can, but I just want to state the question to you. What is the role of the referee in a chess game or chess tournament? How important is he?
Well, the role is minimum. That's right. Unlike other kind of sports, the referee, generally it would be very nice if he would not participate at all in the game, because it means that everything goes flawlessly. There are no conflicts. Sometimes people may climb a draw at some specific situations. They might apply for an arbiter if their opponents do something wrong. But normally there is no reason. If both players behave properly, there is no reason to engage an arbiter.
Have you seen any conflicts there? Any fights to say during the tournament or games? Are people like really that passionate, or maybe in informal games?
At really huge tournaments, usually not. Although some players, they start, not shaking hands, saying that they don't respect each other and things like that, or come with those black glasses, like from the fantastical film, the guy, the superhero. But in local clubs, that happens a lot, especially when kids are playing. They're very emotional. Pretty often, if they lost, they can, throw away the pieces or something like that. There was one guy in England. My friends told me about him, that when he lost the game, he always stand up, abused everybody around, and went out from the hall. But that's an exceptional situation. That's just for the sake of joke. I'm telling this. Normally, all people are nice, and there are no such issues.
Cool. What's up with the bishops? I've seen in your training courses that you give a lot of importance to the bishops, even over the horses. Because technically speaking, when they give scores to the different pieces, the score given to a horse, or to a knight, sorry, and the bishop is the same. I think it's 3 points. But you teach that capturing a horse and remaining with a bishop is actually a big advantage. It's actually one of the secrets you mentioned. So what's going on with bishops?
Well, firstly, since you mentioned horses, let's just compare. Have you seen the horse and you know, like in Russian, by the way, the bishop is called an elephant in Russian chess set.
Excellent.
And if you compare a horse and an elephant, it's pretty obvious who is stronger, right? Okay, being serious, that's a common delusion that those two pieces are equal, because manuals for beginners say that these are two equal pieces, but this is a simplification, and that's not exactly correct. Normally, in order to compare the piece's power, you evaluate its scope of action, how largely it can affect, you know, the different area. And if we compare the knight and the bishop, we'll see that the bishop is much powerful in terms of the area that it can control. Standing on the center of the board, it really controls the whole board. That's why bishop is more powerful. And people noticed a long time ago that bishops very often are crucial pieces, because they put constant pressure in a certain direction, and that they can determine a success or failure of your attack. And while with the knight, well, in most of the cases they are active. You can jump it on a nice square pretty easily. But with the bishop, it's possible to be either completely passive or very active. So the possible range of activity of the bishop is very huge, and it can affect the overall evaluation of the whole situation on the board. That's why very often bishop is the key.
Cool. If you, let's imagine there's a table right next to you, a chair where you're sitting down. On that table is your first chessboard that you just showed to us. Who would you dream of playing against? Who would come over, shake your hand, and sit in front of you to play maybe the final game of a tournament?
Once I met Garry Kasparov, who was one of the greatest players when he was active, and maybe he's one of the greatest players ever in chess history. And it was very pleasant to meet with him and to communicate with him. He's a very energetic person. Perhaps this is common for all successful people. He's very energetic, he's full of ideas, he always wants to deliver something, to do something, to change something in the world. So I would definitely be a pleasure to play against him. If talking about players of the past, I would select Capablanca, the former world champion. I'm impressed with the clarity of his games, and he's also considered to be one of those natural talents, natural genius, who just took it easy, who, like, without any significant efforts, got to the very top and ultimately became the world champion. I think that it happened because he was able to recognize those strategic principles that drive the chess game, that can help you find the right move easily. And I'm trying to do the same in my chess courses. That's why it would be very interesting for me to communicate with him or to play against him.
Nice. You know, when I was really obsessed with chess, I've gone through stages of that. It actually brought me problems in the sense of balancing it with everything else, and especially with my partner or with my wife in those moments. Because basically you get so obsessed that you leave a lot of things aside. And then at that point I was thinking, maybe I should date a female GM, and then there wouldn't be any problems. And when I look at pictures of female GMs, they're actually pretty cute, which is surprising to me. What's the relationship there between chess players in that kind of level? Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I can be an expert here. I also married a female chess player. Everybody now asks us, do you play chess between each other at home? No.
And do you?
Well, actually, surprisingly, almost not. We have other things to do.
Okay.
Just we have a lot of chess at work. Anyway, she's a coach for kids in chess, and I'm also a coach. So we have enough chess at our working activity. Anyway, the women chess players, of course, a lot of them, they are intelligent, they are cute. A lot of them are awesome, and I know it's pretty natural to have a relation with them. I know some couples amongst chess players. There is even one proverb, so to speak, between chess players. They say that a good marriage will guarantee you additional 100 of rating points, and a bad marriage will bring you down 100 rating points. And I use some examples that this is true. Really, sometimes a nice female, it can boost your results, it can motivate you. And it happened with some people. Even their wedding trip, they made it the wedding trip to the tournament. Uh,
There is, coming back to from the what people normally think about chess, and I'm the outsider now. Is it different the skills that a child develops than an adult develops? Say, I like as a child you have more time now, but for example, in my profession, I work extremely hard for 3 months or a year, and then I don't for another between jobs. So I do have time. Is my brain less able than a child's brain to master chess? If I were to make it my obsession after October obsession, November, where I will have perhaps 1 year of time to do as I please for 1 year, so I can do whatever. If I, is it a losing proposition, or is the child already beating me, or what can happen if I just say, okay, here are Igor's courses, $709, Igor's courses, all of the boxes, and here is the board, and here's my food, and this is my, and I gotta balance my life. I will have exercise. I'm not gonna go crazy, but I will master this. Is it gonna work, or am I just doomed because I'm 37?
well, first of all, you have a nice job, Juan. Secondly, I think that's another common stereotype that children can progress easier, faster, that only they can really digest it very well at an early age, while if you're an adult, it's already too late. My experience proves an opposite thing. I have a lot of adult students. Some of them play really as a hobby. They don't want to become the world champion, just they want to have some fun, to play an intelligent game, maybe to meet new friends and so forth. And I noticed that actually adults can progress very quickly. The one difference you just highlighted, it's the fact that kids, they simply have more free time. That's one problem for adults. If you have to feed your family, to work very hard, of course you don't have a lot of free time. But there is definitely no obstacles for an adult to progress. I would say even opposite. Adults sometimes can progress faster. Chess is basically a strategical game, and strategical thinking develops with age. It develops better. So for the mature person, it is easier to digest some concepts. Little kids, they usually play more tactically, and it works at some level. But normally, in order to be really strong, you need to be a good strategist, and that is more common amongst adults. So I would say that
Okay. Excellent.
that yes, Juan, you have good chances. I would not recommend you to become, so much obsessed and to avoid any other things in life. Of course, if you have so many free time, perhaps you can allocate it to different things.
But chess is life. Who said that? Bobby Fischer? Chess is life?
Well, really, the greatest players, they dedicate their life to it. That's true. And I think, again, this would be the same for any kind of a person in any area who achieved tremendously great results. They dedicate their life to it. On the contrary, I would say that if we take a look at some great players who still have fun from the game, who don't forget that chess is a game, after all, it's a game. It was supposed to bring you joy. And if you keep this positive mood while playing, if you go at a tournament at the same time where you want to just have some fun along the way, then you will definitely get much more pleasure from this process. And you will achieve all those things that you want, but simultaneously you will have a smile on your face. You won't be that much serious. Like some players, if you look at them, their hands are shaking, they're too nervous, they have that big red face. It's a pity to look at them. So I think that if you take it easy, if you still try to have fun while playing, it would also help you to progress easier.
Yeah, I think I would actually be really scared to play against the guy who's smiling at me or smiling while he plays. I had not thought of that.
Is something in the middle of the day, or has it happened to you that you are in a situation outside of chess, and all of a sudden it's a chess situation, and you like, for example, in a normal strategy, somebody says sit down, and you sit, or you say fuck you. I mean, there's two choices, or you say, or you don't, or ignore. Three choices: confront, ignore, obey. Has it ever happened to you in a situation where you're in a normal situation and then you realize I have options? There is I am not bound by the situation as it's presented to me. I have options, and oh, this is just like, okay, rook here, and you just switch your reaction. Has that ever happened to you?
I wouldn't say that I really think like that, that in a real life situation I think like which move I would play in an analogical situation at a chessboard. But I would agree with you that that's true. Of course, the general skills, because chess helps you to find the right move. And that's very good. For example, the skill to compare different lines that you have, different options. First of all, to realize all of them, then to evaluate consequences, to compare the ultimate result of each possible direction, and then to choose the best. So when you're at a branching point, how to choose the best move to do. This skill comes from chess very well. It is developed very well, and it helps in life for sure, pretty often in many situations. I would also say that there is a very close analogy with war and with business, because business is a commercial war. I even knew some players who study chess specifically to improve their results in business. I had some students who were very successful businessmen, multimillionaire, and they learned chess secretly. They didn't expose that, just they wanted to have those additional skills and knowledge that would help them to make right decisions and to outplay their competitors.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
Nice. That reminds me of The Godfather. And in general, there's so many lines you can hear everywhere that relate to chess. It sounds like you can relate anything to chess. What comes to mind from The Godfather is a line where he says, you should be close to your friends, but closer to your enemies. And to me, is that, okay, when you're playing a game of chess, you really need to see what's going on with his side of the board more than maybe my side of the board. And there's so many ways to interpret a game of chess. The typical ways are black against white, a war going on, what you were mentioning before, a business also. Is there any other out there way to think of chess that maybe it's not that typical and we have never thought of, instead of those typical like antagonistic way of seeing it in general?
Thank you for the question, Ron. I think that's a very wise and prudent question. Really, the problem that I see in some of the modern players is that they are focused too much on the moves itself, and they a little bit forget that chess game is a model. When you just move the wooden pieces on the board, it doesn't really change something dramatically in life. But if you consider it as a tool that can help you to develop yourself and also to understand better life, to understand some universal principles that will work in any kind of situation, then of course it can bring you a lot of useful things. I would completely agree with you. Chess is a model of war, which is pretty obvious because there are two armies which combat between each other. This is also a very close analogy with business, as I said before, and basically an analogy with any so to say, with any collision, any kind of communication between different forces where you want to be on top, which happens everywhere in life. So, taking your example from The Godfather, of course, if we say about more serious works, I can say, for example, Sun Tzu, the Chinese philosopher of the past. Maybe my pronunciation is wrong. I don't know the original pronunciation of his name. He wrote the book The Art of War, which also has a lot of ideas which...
Lao Tzu.
Yeah. Well, he's also a wise man, but I was talking about another guy. Which are applicable at any aspect of life. And that's what we can learn from chess.
And continuing with that idea, which piece on the board do you feel identified with? In my case, I'm the pawn. I like to be the lowly pawn there going to war. The first ones who go there sacrifice themselves for the other pieces. Who are you? Are you the king, the queen maybe, the bishop? Do you feel identified with any piece or any style of play? Sorry, the question's too crazy.
Well, I understand your choice. So initially, if you're a pawn, then you want to go the whole way till the end and be promoted to become the greatest, the strongest piece in the end.
So it's the rocky piece, right? The pawn is rocky.
Yeah, it has the greatest potential amongst any other piece. well, it's not that I really identify myself with any of the pieces, but from the time when I was a kid, I liked the knight. You can show it. This one, if you can see it. Because that's just a masterpiece. The horse, it's very nice, very interesting, and it can do a lot of tricks, a lot of sudden moves, and a lot of combinations. It involves the knight specifically. That's why I like it.
Nice.
I have two questions, and the one that Rod knows which one is, but the one before that is, it has to do with this obsession idea. And why is chess so obsessive? Why are people so obsessed? If I think about obsession, I think about two things. I think about women buying shoes and men playing chess. Those are the easy two images that come immediately to mind. Why is chess associated with obsession? Why is this? What do you think is this?
People enjoy accepting challenges because that is something that allows you to test yourself and to see your real skills, your real abilities. And then when you're challenged, you want to win. Chess gives you this possibility all the time. That's what I like in chess a lot. Because in other professions, yeah, you also try to achieve some goals, but it's not always so easy to compare your results, to evaluate if you're progressing or not. Let's say you're making different documentary. Okay?
Yeah.
And how to evaluate which one is better? Do you really progress compared with your previous work? It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that, yeah. But in chess, this is very objective. You're playing the game, and you know if your moves are right or wrong, if you won or you're lost. You have the rating, which shows you your power. This is very objective, and you have this constant and immediate feedback, which shows you whether you are on the right way or not. And you can then adjust your movement forward. If you see that you're wrong, you can try to go back on the right track. That is a very, very nice thing about chess. If we talk psychologically about this obsession, then if you're lost, of course, you want to change that. You want to win. At the same time, if you won, then you want to develop your success, right? And then no matter what is the result of the game, anyway, it motivates you to continue. That's how this obsession appears.
What is that one or two pieces of advice that you tell mortals like me that are starting out that radically, let me preface that. When I was a young kid, one time an old friend of mine said one thing that helped me win many games, and not against big players, but kids. So he said, of every piece, make sure anytime you move that it is protected. And then I just, as a little kid, I took that idea, that simple idea, just one idea, and I won the games after game, maybe 3 games, not against big players, but there was just this key. I no longer was thinking about winning the game. I was thinking about protecting my pieces. I'd moved them. Are there other metaphors or ideas that people just, obviously it's not going to work anytime, but it's a good metaphor for you to get better in chess?
I can extend an idea that previously was exposed by Rod when he quoted Godfather, and there they said that you need to keep your friends close and keep your enemies even closer. Then Rod said that it can be applicable for seeing different territories, that you need to pay attention to your territory, that's right, but you need to pay even closer attention to the territory of your opponent. That's one idea which I believe is very, very important, and it can help you a lot. What usual players do, they see their army, and they start thinking which move they can do, how they can move any of these pieces, which piece must make a move and where it can go. They are focused on their own army. That's the most common approach. But there is another approach, which is much easier and much more effective. Instead of looking at your territory, you look at the territory of your opponent. And then you ask yourself the question, how can you move there and make some attack, make some damage to him? Because you see, here you change the focus. You first look at the goal, and then you ask yourself, how can you achieve that? And then you have this direct focus. You don't need to consider every possible move, because you already have the focus. And you will only consider 1 or 2 moves that can possibly bring you to this goal. That's why it's a lot of easier, and you can find the right moves sometimes within a few seconds.
I think
Very nice. Sorry.
That fits our metaphor. We've spoken to this about in any obsessive and positive obsessive endeavor. One advice we got from Sugar Seegerman from South Africa. No, this was from Mac Dojo. New York guy. He said, "Picture success." Just to start with that. And I think you mentioned earlier that the stress of moving a piece, if you fear failure, or if you picture failure, if failure is part of your vantage point, every move you make is painful because you don't want to move, because every move you make is getting you closer to failure. That is a mindset also in life, as I think depression many times comes from that, in which you've already pictured failure as of your endeavor, of your life, or of your marriage, or of your new addiction. And every move is painful. I don't want to move. I mean, the obvious response to that is I'm going to stay in bed. But I think what I love about the way you're picturing it is you're taking away that stress and you're just turning it around, and that allows me to actually picture success, because you're saying you're not pushing, you're pulling pieces. It's a wonderful way of playing life, because if you're pulling pieces from a point of view of success, you just it's beautiful. I find it very useful.
Thank you. I can tell you one more idea. Not sure if you are looking for it or not. Um, if we talk about this topic about obsession and success in general, there are a lot of different techniques that helps you to raise your self-confidence, to set goals, to visualize something, to try to achieve your success in life or in business or whatever. They all are smart techniques, and I believe that this is very important, as well as the project that you do right now. I also think that this is very important. It will motivate a lot of people to achieve bigger results. That is great, and thank you for that. At the same time, I see there is one crucial drawback of all those motivational techniques, because they basically tell you to take that motivation from scratch. They just tell you that you need to set some goals for yourself. Okay, then pick them on the wall, visualize them, whatever. But in any case, there is a question: why do you have those goals? Why do you really want to achieve them? You can't trick yourself. You can present those goals to others, but if you don't really believe in them inherently, they will not motivate you, right? If we talk about obsession, the main thing is the motivation. Will it really drive you? Let's make an easy example. Let's say this is a winter, the early morning, you're lying in your bed, you're tired, you don't really want to wake up, and at this moment you need to say to yourself something that will motivate you to wake up and to start acting actively, to work hard. What will it be? Here you can't trick yourself. If this is something real, something that really drives your life, you will not be able to continue lying in the bed. You will wake up immediately and will start acting and going for your dream. But only if this is something real, something that you believe inherently. That's why I think that if we talk about the real motivation, it should be based on your personal philosophy, on what you believe is important in life. Otherwise, if you just take this goal artificially, if you just say that I want $1 million or $1 billion or whatever, I want that car, that is not something that goes from inside. That is something that you rather set for yourself artificially, but that will not work because that will not motivate you.
So it's like the movie Inception. You're looking for that image inside of you that's true, and once you find that image, you are going towards it. You're pulling towards it. It's a great metaphor. Rod, do you have a question before the last question?
Yeah, I actually have one more. In the game, there's so much ego involved. I'm really immature, and I remember when I actually won a game, I felt, okay, awesome. I'm smarter than you. I'm the best in the world. You suck. I beat you. I'm more intelligent. I saw more things than you did. I'm the best. But when I lost, I felt like, oh, I'm stupid. This guy beat me. I made so many mistakes. I suck. Sincerely, what do you feel when you actually win? How much ego is involved there? How much of that adrenaline actually involves the obsession with the game? Actually winning and feeling that you are in a way, at least during that game, superior to your solo opponent.
That is definitely right. There is a lot of ego involved, as you said. There are different approaches. I know that all of the players, they face this problem. They need to address it somehow. They solve it differently. Some try to be the most aggressive. They try to motivate themselves for success, for achieving the best, and for hating even their opponent, like that. That's one possible approach. But personally, I prefer an opposite thing. I prefer more philosophical attitude. Let me tell you one quick story from another area, from martial arts, from karate. That is a real story, by the way. There was the World Championship in karate, and there was the final fight between two finalists, and one of them, he won that battle, and he started to scream and shout, to say that I'm the greatest, to express his happiness very openly, and also he started to be abusive towards his opponent and all that kind of things. And after that, the coach of that man who won that world championship, he just rejected him from the school completely. He told him to the student that you became the world champion, but you did not understand anything. You did not understand the main thing, that in karate you're not competing with other people. You're trying to develop yourself. You're trying to become better with your every next fight. And your opponents, those are the guys who are risking their health to help you to challenge yourself and to achieve greater results.
Nice.
That's a great metaphor. Excellent metaphor.
Yeah, I think we're ready for the last question. That's a great place to leave it at.
Igor, we are heading towards the middle of our solar system. And there is the galaxy and the universe. We don't know if it has a center, but we do know our solar system has a center, which is the sun. We've changed directions. And my question, actually, no, we've changed the middle of the universe. We were heading to the sun, but it would have been uncomfortable. And our spaceship is running outside. It's about to lose contact with Earth because it's too far. And we're talking to the best experts in all fields. We're talking to musicians. We're talking to brain scientists. We're talking to entrepreneurs. We're talking with the shoe buyers. And of course, we're talking with chess masters. Russian chess masters, which I think it has this kind of mystical quality to it. What piece of advice would you give us obsessives as we pursue our true goal? And we are already in the spaceship. It's 2,500 obsessives. Rod and I are on that spaceship. What can you tell us? What would you think is going to help us in our journey in our lives, which we have committed to this obsession?
I will a little bit drive back to the idea that I've told you previously. I think that you need to start from the very beginning. It's very nice that you are talking about the outer space. So first of all, you need to have your philosophy of what you think a life is and what your goal in life is. After that, you can very easily answer the question, what are more specific goals that you have in life? If you know the ultimate purpose of your life, then you will understand the more specific steps to achieve that goal, the sub-goals, so to speak. You will understand them very easily. And when it will become your inherent desire, it will come out naturally. You will not be able not to pursue that. It will be very motivational, and you will definitely have a lot of success there. And the final advice, which I can also give using an example of a game of chess, is that we shouldn't forget that this whole thing is just a game, and it's supposed to bring us some joy and fun along the way. Let's not forget about that. While concording all those new territories and achieving new goals, it would be nice to have a smile on our face and to keep enjoying the game.
And I actually have one corollary question. If you were going to play Dostoevsky versus Lermontov, who do you think would win and why?
I think that they are both very wise persons, and the wise person, he's always learning from his opponents. So I think that ultimately they both will be winners in this battle.
Excellent, Igor. October Obsession with Igor from Russia. He's a chess master, and thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you for inviting me. Good luck on your project. I'm sure it will help people a lot. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks, man. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.